Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss the macroeconomic events that took place in the year 2020 till 2021. Now, moving towards the contents which we have discussed: GDP, recession, unemployment rate, foreign exchange reserve, money supply, monetary policy, inflation, CPI and WPI indicators, followed by fiscal policies and economic advisory. Now, moving towards the GDP as an indicator, the Indian economy was hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic in year 2020. In the April and June 2020 quarter, a sudden dip of 24.4% was observed in the Indian economy. It was the biggest ever contraction recorded since independence. Economic activities were halted due to the rapid spread of COVID-19 and imposition of lockdown. Second quarter observed a dip of 7.4%. Contraction in this quarter was not significantly high as the unlock phases were started. Because of high festive demand, different sectors started rebounding, and a marginal increase of 0.5% was observed in quarter 3 2020, followed by 1.6% in the quarter of 2020, last quarter of 2020 and 2021. In the quarter 1 of 2021 and 2022, an expansion of 20.1% was recorded despite the second wave of COVID-19 and lockdown policies. Indian GDP contracted by 7.3% in the fiscal year of 2020 and 2021. According to the Ministry of Finance and Corporate Affairs, V-shaped economic recovery was observed in the hope that the service sector will grow and consumption and investment will increase. Now, when we look at the constant sector-wise contribution towards GDP, service sector contribute 54.27%, which includes trade, hotel, transport, communication, finance, real estate, public administration, and defense. Agriculture has a less contribution of 16.38 percent towards GDP, while industrial sector contribute 29.35%. So the impact of pandemic and associated health measures have been unique as it has affected every sector of the economy. The spread and intensity of COVID-19 induced demands and supply shock, which can be broadly looked by the output and the employment rate. The GVA, or the gross value added in the economics, shrunk by the 6.2% in 2020 and 2021 compared to 4.1% rise in the previous year. Construction and service sectors were hit the hardest due to pandemic induced requirement of social distancing. Context sensitive sectors like trade, hotel, transport, tourism, etc., due to lockdown, were impacted the most. Construction and mining sectors employ the highest number of informal workers, and due to lockdown, everyone traveled to their home. As a result, they were severely affected. Manufacturing sector was hit hard in the first quarter of 2020 because of disruption in the supply chain. Agriculture was largely insulated from the lockdown in India, and it shown an uninterrupted harvesting of rabi crops and sowing of kharif. However, supply chain of agriculture was disrupted, but overall agriculture sector was a silver line for the GDP with 3.5% increase. Now, moving towards the analysis of recession. Recession can be recognized as a decline of GDP for two consecutive quarters. The Indian economy recorded recession in the year of 2020-2021 after 41 years due to COVID-19 pandemic, which is an exogenous factor. Due to significant and consecutive drop of 24.5% GDP in quarter 1 financial year 2020-2021, followed by contraction of 7.4% in the quarter 2, India entered into the phase of recession. Due to the imposition of lockdown, economic activities halted. As a result, supply chain was heavily impacted and production activities were stopped. This led to overall reduction in the output and income level dropped. Because of heavy business losses, many people left their job and led to the significant unemployment rates. India exited the recession phase in quarter 4 with a nominal GDP increase of 1.6%. The unlock policies and different government schemes helped to smoothen this slowdown. Now, unemployment.
So coming to the unemployment rate, so the current unemployment rate in India as of 11 November 2021 is 7.2%, with urban unemployment rate of 7.4% and rural unemployment rate of 7.1%. The unemployment rate data is taken from CMIE. Now, in April 2020, third week, labor market conditions worsened because it was the fourth week of lockdown, and nearly 74 lakh people lost their jobs in India during April 2020, and the unemployment rate increased to 23.52%. But then, during post COVID recovery, unemployment rates fell down to less than 10% with minor variations. Now coming to foreign exchange reserves, so which include foreign currency or other assets held by central bank or government. RBI is majorly responsible for maintaining the country's forex reserves. Now the data on foreign exchange reserves is taken from RBI reports, as RBI publishes half-yearly reports on the management of foreign exchange reserves. Now the reserves increased to 576.98 billion USD in March 2021 by USD 1.108 billion during April to December 2020. and from USD 576.98 billion to USD 635.36 billion at end September 2021. The trend line of forex reserve is increasing, and the higher the reserves, the higher is the capacity of the central bank to smooth the volatility of the balance of the payments. With high reserves, India can effectively handle situations such as oil shocks or global recession. Now, coming to monetary policies, so it includes cash reserve ratio, repo rate, statutory liquidity ratio (SLR), reverse repo rate, and marginal standing facility rate (MSF rate). Now, coming to cash reserve ratio. So the cash reserve ratio of all bank was reduced by 100 basis points to 3% for a period of 1 year ending on March 26, 2021. On a review of monetary and liquidity conditions, it has been decided to gradually restore the CRR in two phases: 3.5% from March 27, 2021, and 4% from May 2022, May 22, 2021. The CRR normalization opens up space for a variety of market operations of the RBI to inject additional liquidity. Coming to statutory liquidity ratio (SLR), the current SLR is 18%. The SLR last witnessed a change in its level on April 11, 2020, when it declined by 0.25% from its previous level of 18.25%. SLR means the ratio of specified securities bank must maintain in relation to their demand and time liabilities, so which are prescribed by the central bank. SLR helps to ensure the solvency of a commercial bank and control the expansion of bank credits. Lower SLR rates release liquidity into the system as banks are required to hold fewer government bonds. Next is interest rates.
Moving on to the interest rates, the RBI drafts and administers monetary policies specifically to regulate the supply of money in the economy in order to stimulate various aspects of economic growth. The primary object is advancing economic development. In this context, repo rates and reverse repo rates are the two tools of RBI's monetary policy. Repo rate is the rate at which the Reserve Bank of India lends funds to the commercial banks in the country, and reverse repo rate is the rate at which the commercial banks in India parks their excess money with the Reserve Bank of India. Along with this, marginal standing facility is a window for banks to borrow from the Reserve Bank of India in an emergency situation when interbank liquidity dries up completely. In March 2020, just after the lockdown commenced, the repo rate was cut by 75 basis points to 4.4% from 5.15% in a 4:2 decision by the Monetary Policy Committee. The reverse repo rate was cut down from 4.9% to 4.0%. The liquidity adjustment facility corridor was widened as the reverse repo rate was pushed down by 90 basis points, as opposed to the 75 basis points in repo rate. The marginal standing facility was reduced from 5.4% to 4.65%. In the later on April 17, the reverse repo rate was reduced from 4% to 3.75%. The idea was to leave banks with little incentive to park their funds with RBI, thereby controlling the flow of money in the market. On May 22nd, the repo rates were cut by another 40 basis points from 4.4% to 4%. This is the lowest repo rate that RBI has maintained in India. As a result, the reverse repo rate was also reduced from 3.75% to 3.35%, and the MSF was reduced from 4.65% to 4.25%. The next, looking on to the interest rates from May 22nd, 2020 to February 5th, 2021, the repo rate stays constant at 4%, reverse repo rate at 3.35%, and MSF of 4.25%. The reason was RBI members unanimously decided to continue with accommodative stance of monetary policy as long as necessary, while ensuring that the inflation remains within the target of 4% with a margin of 2% on either side. Moving on to the money supply.
Money supply measures the total stock of all types of money held by the public at any point of time. Money supply has increased due to the accommodative stance and expansionary monetary policies of RBI. India's total money supply M3 stood at rupees 195 lakh crores as of October 2021, recording a rise of nearly 10% over the same time last year. RBI has pumped nearly rupees 2.2 lakh crores by undertaking GSAP bonds. Coming forward, inflation. If inflation is the decline of purchasing power of a given currency over time, A quantitative estimate of the rate at which the decline in purchasing power occurs can be reflected in the increase of an average price level of a basket of selected goods and services in an economy over some period of time. Next, in 2020 to 2021, inflation breached the upper tolerance band of 6% for 6 consecutive months in post-lockdown period from June to November 2020. Since April 2021, headline CPI inflation, which was 4% in April, sprang back amidst the second wave of intense infections to breach the upper tolerance threshold and touch 6.3% during May to June 2021. This unanticipated spike came from a sharp pickup in food and core inflation, which peaked at 6.6% in May 2021, and fuel inflation, which at 12.6% in June 2021, was then highest recorded in the series. On the whole, inflation has been highly volatile in 5 months of the current financial year, moving with a wide range of 4.2% to 6.3%, averaging 5.5%. Moving forward at the CPI.
CPI measures the change over time in the general level of prices of goods and services. In India, the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation compiles the CPI separately for rural, urban, and combined sectors on a monthly basis for all India and states. Next, there was an increase of 5.84% in the CPI in March 2020. This was due to food inflation caused by supply disruptions. Another surge occurred in March to May 2021, and the reasons for this were manifold. Firstly, the second wave of COVID 19 resulted in restrictions. These restrictions caused supply chain disruptions, elevated retail margins, and difficulty to accurately measure the prices. As a result, as the restrictions eased, the economic activity normalized, and the effects of these factors dissipated from June. Surge in global energy prices kept petrol and diesel prices high. Surge in international edible oil prices also fed into the domestic inflation information. Industrial input and transport cost pressures persisted, which transferred into selling prices of manufactured goods, which was more than what was anticipated, in spite of demand conditions weakening due to the second wave. Next, coming over to the food group, the food and beverages have a weight of 45.9% in the CPI basket, and hence this has a heavy impact on the overall CPI. Due to vegetable price spike in the early 2019 due to unseasonal rains, the food inflation peaked at 12.2% in December. Then, due to seasonal easing in prices, it got moderated. It again rose to 8.4% in July to August due to adverse supply shocks. These major variations were generally due to the price of vegetables. Next, fuel inflation moved into negative territory in March 2020 as a result of large contraction in mineral oil inflation during March. In the later part of 2020, a sharp rise occurred due to increase in prices of key fuel items and strong adverse base effects. After the global lockdown, the international crude oil prices declined steeply, but the CPI for fuel increased due to the increase in taxes, excise duty, and value added tax. When the international prices rose, the CPI petrol inflation increased from 3% to 12.1% in August 2020, and it showed an increasing trend henceforth. Next, coming over to coming over to other measures of inflation, WPI, or the wholesale price index, is one of the more significant ones. Since WPI leaves out indirect taxes, whereas CPI includes retail prices that are inclusive of taxes, it gives a better idea of consumer spending. This can be noticed starkly in the CPI of petrol and diesel inflation, as its price is majorly determined by global prices along with taxes. CPI for petrol was at 20.7% in February 2021. In contrast, WPI for petrol and diesels was only 0.2%. Hence, in 2013, the consumer price index replaced the wholesale price index as the main measure of inflation. Next comes fiscal policy.
Fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is the guiding force that helps the government decide how much it should spend on economic activities and how much revenue it must earn from the system to keep the wheels of economy on track. Fiscal policy is imposed by the government. Due to outbreak of COVID-19, economy lost the track as lockdown impacted employment and many industries badly. So to counter this, government came up with some fiscal policies so that economy can be revived. The first one is PM Cares Fund to combat COVID-19 in pandemic. Uh, PM Cares Fund was created by Chairman Prime Minister Modi ji on March 27, 2020. It is a charitable trust, and major funds were used for research purposes and quality health care treatments. Although the data of the funds is missing. The second one is Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, which is a comprehensive relief package of 1.7 lakh crore rupees for poor people to fight against coronavirus. Government has provided food and money to the poor people under this scheme so that they don't face any kind of difficulty in buying essential supplies. Next one is economy relief package. Our finance minister Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman has announced a relief package of nearly 6.3 lakh crore rupee to support economy in the fight against COVID-19. Many schemes related to loan and other financial operation tourism has been announced under this package. Next one is Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan Yojana. In May 2020, Indian government announced Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan Yojana, a particular economic and a holistic package of rupees 20 lakh crore, equivalent to nearly 10% of our GDP, with a plan to support business and other ventures and also to reinforce the purpose of Make in India. Next one is Garib Kalyan Rozgar Yojana. It was launched to boost the employment and livelihood opportunities for the migrant workers who had to left their homes, their their uh, places and move to villages, and and they are now jobless. So to provide them job, this Garib Kalyan Yojana was proposed. Next, now these are some plans, government plans proposed in the fiscal year budget plan, union budget plan, and there is a substantial increase in investment in health infrastructure as there is a COVID outbreak, and more than 100 crore COVID vaccines have been given, and for the creation of infrastructure and other things, capital budget has been increased. Next. Now, coming to the expenditure and fiscal deficit, the government has proposed to spend nearly 35 lakh crore rupees in fiscal years in this fiscal year, out of which 30 lakh crore will be spent on revenue expenditure and rest 5 lakh crore will be spent on capital expenditure. This amount is nearly same as the last year's figures. Second is revenue receipts. Revenue receipts are expected to be nearly 20 lakh crores worth, which is 23% higher than last year's revenue. Next, now coming to the fiscal deficit, the government aims to reduce the fiscal deficit to 6.8% of the GDP in this fiscal year 2021 to 2022. Last year fiscal deficit due to COVID was 9.5%, which was quite high. So government is trying to reduce it to 6.8%. Next.
Coming to the problem faced and action taken by government, first and foremost, the major problem faced by the government was the dip in GDP and recession in year 2020 to 2022, 21, for which government launched Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan and economic relief package to pull economy back from recession. Second major problem was an increase in unemployment rate, and government launched Garib Kalyan Rozgar Yojana to improve the unemployment conditions. And lastly, inflation rate rose above 6%, for which government launched PM Garib Kalyan Yojana and PM Cares Fund for helping poor people during this period. Next, advisories from this project is active supply side intervention by the government in food items, particularly in pulses and edible oil, should bring about a better balance between supply and demand. Measures to improve supply side cost pressures would be critical at this juncture, especially in terms of a calibrated reduction of the indirect taxes on petrol and diesel. This would help anchor inflation expectations. The increase in petrol and diesel prices is shown up in trade and transport costs, and its second round effects could push up the prices of goods and services. Effective supply measures and tax rationalization are critical to help anchor inflation expectations. Next, these are some references, and next, and thank you.